Yeah. They have Walmart salvation. Well, I've got Sean John, Johnny Versace salvation. And all I can say to that is humbug, because you're not taking this with you anyway. It's not about the things that you amass, it's about the relationship that you build with the God you serve. I don't know why it is, but these people think that things actually do validate them. And I'll go this far with you. It is nice to have good things. It's all right to have nice things, but if you think that your things validate you, then you, my friend, are nothing. People who are in a constant pursuit of things, of gains as a means of validation, have the spirit or the attitude of mammon. Oh, it's quiet in here now. Y'all were getting ready to get with me till I said that. Any Mammonites in the house here? Let's consider, though, Jesus' assessment of this church. He said, I know thy works. Thou art neither cold nor hot. Neither cold nor hot. He goes on to say, I would that thou wert cold or hot. So then, because thou art lukewarm and neither cold nor hot, I will spew thee out of my mouth. May I use the vernacular of the day? Jesus was saying, in effect, since you're not cold and you're not hot, when I taste you, you make me sick. That's why I spew you out of my mouth. You're so unpalatable that you make me sick. You make me ill. Consider that for a moment. A church that makes its maker sick. I will spew thee out of my mouth. This has a twofold allusion that really arrives at a single conclusion. The first is a reference to the church's situation in Laodicea, near the hot springs and near the cold springs. The hot springs could heal. The cold springs could refresh. But the church at Laodicea could do nothing. Couldn't heal or refresh. It was just there. The second reference has to do with the aqueducts that pumped water into the city of Laodicea. They drew water out of the cold springs, but because the aqueducts were elevated, the pipes were exposed to the radiance of the sun. This would, of course, cause the water to heat up. By the time the water got to the city of Laodicea, it was lukewarm, tepid, and distasteful. Lukewarmness is not a palatable way to ingest things. If something is to be eaten or drunk hot, lukewarmness robs it of its flavor and its appeal. If something is to be taken cold, lukewarmness is an unpleasant alternative that never satisfies or refreshes. And this is how Jesus describes the church of the Laodiceans: not satisfying, not refreshing. There was no heat of fervent worship in that church. There was no cool, refreshing, satisfying presence in that church. There was only form without function. They were just going through the motions. Oh, yes, they sang their hymns. They received the preaching. They even gave their gifts, but God was not there. So Jesus diagnosed the problem. Thou sayest, I am rich and increase with goods and have need of nothing, and knowest not that thou art wretched and miserable and poor and blind and naked. They thought that they were in the best possible shape, but in truth, they were in the worst possible shape. They were outwardly rich, possessing plenty of goods, but somehow they had gotten the mistaken notion that they had need of nothing. They felt that their riches and their good formed their source of supply. They believed that they needed nothing else, nothing more. As I gazed into the workings of that church, I too came up with a diagnosis for the church of the Laodiceans. Looking back at it, I believed that Laodicea suffered from a form of spiritual senility. It suffered a dementia of the most aggravating type. I'm not trying to be funny. I believe this. And I believe this to be the case because Laodicea had become forgetful. They said that they had need of nothing. Obviously, they forgot that they needed Jesus. I wonder if there's anybody here today who still needs Jesus. As blessed as you are, as lifted as you are, as gifted as you are, as awesome as you are, you still need Jesus. We have need of nothing. What a sad state for a church to be in when they can forget their need for the one who bled and died for it. What a tragic thing to forget that you need the one who purchased your salvation. And lest you think that I am being unfair in my diagnostic assessment, consider the fact that Laodicea was so forgetful where Jesus was concerned that they actually misplaced him. What do you mean, misplaced him? Recall what Jesus said to the church. Behold, I stand at the door and knock. I have often heard this statement used during an altar call, a call to bring the sinner to Christ. But Jesus is saying this to a church. I stand at the door and knock. And let me be honest here. I don't even know if Jesus really held out any hope for this church. Consider what he said. Behold, I stand at the door and knock.